Hello, my good people. So in Genesis, we see how this man goes from being just Abraham, which is the inferior version of himself, to becoming Abraham, which is the superior and better version of himself when God changes his life. But we also see how Lot was costing him a lot. Because Abraham, the inferior version of himself, makes a relationship choice in chapter 12 that now in a future season, Abraham, the better version of himself, now has to deal with in chapter 19. Because the truth of the issue is, the inferior version of yourself will always make relationship choices that will eventually irritate the better version of yourself. That the relationship choices you make when you don't know who you are will eventually irritate you when you finally get to know who you are. Because originally God tells Abraham to leave his kindred and his kinsmen and go on to a land that God was going to show him. And Abraham obeys, but he obeys partially because he left his kinsmen, or he took one of his kinsmen called Lot. And Abraham is just about to find out that partial obedience is disobedience. Because his choices seemed fine in chapter 12. He wasn't reaping the consequences of his relationship choices in chapter 12 until he gets to a season in his life in chapter 13. And the Bible says his business was experiencing significant growth, and Lot's business was experiencing significant growth as well. So Abraham's business is growing and Lot's business is growing as well. And growth has a way of creating tension in unhealthy relationships, because Lot comes to the point where he no longer recognizes that the essence of his increase is because of his association with Abraham. And their business growth begins to create strife and quarrel and hostility, to the point where Lot's men attack Abraham and his men. And what's interesting is Lot kept quiet. He didn't try to control or contain the situation. He didn't try to intervene. And Abraham begins to see the entitlement in Lot, because Lot now feels entitled to what he used to be grateful for. What Lot used to be grateful for, now Lot feels entitled to. And Abraham begins to see the essence of what God was saying in the first place. Now Abraham begins to see the need for a separation. And Abraham tells Lot to go ahead and choose wherever he wants to live. And of all places, Lot makes the irresponsible choice of going to settle down in Sodom. He makes the irresponsible choice of going to settle down in Sodom. And eventually Sodom gets attacked and Lot gets captured. And Abraham decides to take responsibility of Lot's irresponsibility. Abraham decides to take responsibility for Lot's irresponsibility by risking the lives of 318 servants that he has. They leave everything they have, they leave their families, their homes, they put everything on the line just to come and save Lot. And the mission was so dangerous that Abraham knew that it was only God that could deliver him. And on his way back from that victory, he paid tithe to Melchizedek. And what's interesting is Lot went back to Sodom. And some of you should not judge Lot, because you too went back to your Sodom. You also went back to Sodom. Because when you don't have a vision for what's next for your life, you will always go back to your ex. When you don't have a vision and the revelation of what's next for your life, you will always go back to your ex. And some of you, for the lack of vision and revelation, you went back to your ex mindset. You went back to your ex relationship after all you went through. And it's always destructive to go back to your ex when you lack vision for what's next. Because this time around, God is trying to destroy Sodom. And Abraham is still trying to take responsibility for Lot's irresponsibilities by trying to save Lot. But unfortunately, this destruction ruins Lot's wife. She turns to a pillar of salt. And Lot's choice to settle in Sodom destroys his daughters. Because although Lot's daughters leave Sodom, Sodom didn't leave them. Because eventually they got their father drunk and slept with him. See how one man's choices has ruined his entire family, and see how his actions keep putting Abraham at a disadvantage. And I just want to ask you, do you have a lot in your life that is costing you a lot? Is Lot costing you a lot? So watch out for my next episodes on this series called Is Lot Costing You a Lot? and we're going to be having conversations about relational adjustments that you can make that can bless your life, so you don't get burnt from the toxicity of toxic people. So don't forget to like and share this content if it blesses you. If you like it, the algorithm has a way of making it pop up more on people's feeds. And if you share it, we bless someone's life. Take care.